Alright, so this is basically a part 2 of what I was saying earlier. And another underlying premise that we arrive at after establishing that the initiation of force and ignorance are failures is the only basis of a working system is the capacity of its logic and our ability to reason. Bruce Lee said that man will always be better than any system. It will always have to change the system according to his or her understanding of what governs life and what procreates life and the laws that we have. And it's interesting. I'm taking an astronomy class, and it's interesting to see that how much of the established what do you want to call institutional understanding of space and our cosmic principles doesn't understand what's going on out there. There's a lot we do understand, but we've paid so much attention to very specific things that we've failed to realize a lot more. If you look into things like dark energy, dark matter, which apparently compose like 96% of the universe, we don't understand it. So what we've come to realize is that we understand about 4% of what governs reality, ultimately, cosmically. And this is fundamental to me because, just like I said, we have to always look at the history of everything. What is the historical construct of what we have told each other governs our reality in politics, in history, in philosophy, in astronomy, physics, in education overall? And we've constantly said, if you look beneath the words, we've constantly said, we don't really know what's going on, but we're not going to let you govern your own reality, because even if we don't know what's going on, we still are going to enforce our principles on you, and this is how we see it, right? This is the foundation of what I see. People are so convinced of their own way of looking at things that they just laugh at you when you have any other sort of alternative perspective to the way that things could be and are. And Gandhi said, I'm trying to remember the order that he said it. He said, first they ignore you, then they laugh at you, then they get mad at you, then you win, right? And it goes to like the 5 phases of denial, right? The 5 stages of denial. And it's really interesting. And so, once again, I ended the previous video asking, where do we go from here? Well, I'm very interested in collaborating, what true economics is in terms of the management of a household. I want to take that to heart and understand, okay, I have to know about myself, I have to know about my family, I have to know about my community, and I have to know about the resources that are involved in the pertinence of life and efficiency overall. And every time that we've gotten lazy and we've just allowed ourselves to be taken in by corporations and governments and political rhetoric and media and so forth to tell us what our economics is, it's a failure. We're always going to be liable to just be at the whim of whatever this establishment tells us is, and we see how that's working out, right? We see that it's breaking down. And so any currency, any means of exchange that we establish has to take into account these things. It has to be able to I don't know why, but I want to use the word mitigate, but we have to establish a metric that takes into account physical and mental health, and then resources, like primary wealth, the fact that land, grows food, and resources are used for energy efficiency, and we have to reconstruct our metrics, our economic metrics, based on these standards. So if we're going to come out with any algorithms, it has to be based on these things. It can't be just some arbitrary thing that depends on investor psychology. I mean, if you look at the fundamentals of economics, it's that. It's, large corporations use their monetary wealth to buy out governments to use forests to say, we want to use resources for this purpose, so we're going to build a market off this. It's not based on the whim of, consumer demand. And if it is, there's so much manipulation happening behind the scenes that it still can't be trusted. I mean, look at it. Look at the things like high fructose corn syrup and all these things that govern like 80% of what you buy in the supermarket, and it's there with government interference. So a lack of government just really means a lack of rulers, right? You'll still have rules, because our lives are defined by principles. I mean, whether you acknowledge that or not, you're here because of cosmic forces. You can label those any way that you like, and put any kind of spin that you want on those and your recognition of them, but you're always going to be the result of the space, right? You're the result of what you can feed yourself, what you can educate yourself on, what relationships you have. So many other things define you. And we just fail to recognize that. So a lot of the discussions that I'm going to try to expand on are really to refine our thinking to how can we build a system that recognizes wealth in its various aspects. How can it recognize individual wealth, the sort of the nutrition we need, the mental health, and there are a lot of people who have put in their entire lives to define health, define it on all of these levels. So we're not, as much as we have to start from ground zero, there's still a lot of people who have put in really good work on things that we can work with and assimilate into our new economic systems. And it's important, because if we just sit on the sidelines and think that, well, we don't know anything about economics, we don't know anything about wealth, we don't know anything about money, and so on and so forth, so we just kind of wait for the system to collapse, so to speak, is a mistake, because you're not participating in your own reality. You're not participating in the things that you also contribute to existence as a co-creator. And I try to be really careful when I use words like that, like divinity. I know I've said that, and co-creator and this, because we've really damaged and put a number on these things through the institutions of religion and through the institutions of government. So we're going to have to define all of our terms so that we can point to the sort of feeling, what is the sense of what ultimately religion and these higher institutions are trying to point to, right? I think that is a huge part of this. And basically that's it for now. I just wanted to sort of make this part 2 to make sure I opened up, and the other one cut off anyway. So I would love to hear what you guys think on all of these subjects, and I'm definitely open to changing my perspective on anything where evidence shows different. And so, please contribute, and let's expand this conversation.